Chapter 1. The Weight of Tomorrow. The glass walls of the Vance Tower penthouse offered a flawless view of the city skyline, but to Julian Vance, it looked like a cage of cold light. At 32, he had amassed a fortune that made him a ghost in the financial world. A man whose name was spoken in whispers, whose investments dictated the flow of global markets. He was young, ruthlessly handsome, and possessed the kind of wealth that could buy anything. Except peace. Julian stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, a glass of amber scotch resting forgotten in his hand. His tailored tuxedo jacket was thrown carelessly over a nearby leather armchair, the top buttons of his crisp white shirt undone. To anyone else, he looked like a billionaire winding down after a long day of high-stakes mergers. In reality, he was trying to stop his mind from tearing itself apart. Without warning, the air in the room grew suffocatingly hot. The ambient noise of the city died away, replaced by a high-pitched, deafening ring. Julian dropped the glass. It shattered against the hardwood floor, dark liquid soaking into the wood, but he didn't hear it. His eyes, usually a piercing, cool gray, flooded with a sudden, violent crimson. The vision hit him like a physical blow. He wasn't in his penthouse anymore. He was standing in the center of a grand ballroom, surrounded by smoke and the smell of ozone. The crystal chandeliers above swung violently, casting fractured shadows across a terrified crowd. But his gaze was pulled toward the center of the chaos. There she was. A woman stood amid the panic, entirely untouched by it. Her dark hair flowed around her shoulders like silk, contrasting sharply with skin as pale and flawless as marble. She was breathtakingly beautiful, possessing a sharp, ethereal elegance that didn't belong to the human world. But it was her eyes that locked him in place. They burned with a fierce, amber intensity, like liquid fire. As the vision fractured, she looked directly at him. She didn't just see him, she knew him. The world around them dissolved into a roar of flames, and a single whisper echoed through the burning dark. The prophecy begins. Julian gasped, his lungs seizing as he was violently yanked back into reality. He fell to one knee, hands gripping the edge of his mahogany desk as his breath came in ragged bursts. The crimson hue slowly bled out of his irises, leaving his eyes bloodshot and strained. He wiped a bead of cold sweat from his forehead, his heart hammering against his ribs. "Damn it," he muttered, his voice a low, gravelly rasp. The sight had plagued him since adolescence. It was a genetic anomaly, a hidden curse passed down through a bloodline he had spent his adult years trying to bury. Usually, the visions were fragmented: stock market crashes, natural disasters, the faces of betrayers before they ever crossed him. It was the secret weapon that had made him a billionaire. But it was also a curse that kept him entirely isolated. He could never trust anyone when he already knew how they would fail him. But this vision was different. It wasn't a warning about wealth or corporate espionage. It felt like history catching up to him. His phone buzzed on the desk, the vibration cutting through the silence of the room. Julian closed his eyes, centering himself for a moment before picking it up. It was Marcus, his head of security and the only living soul who knew what Julian truly was. "Vance," Julian answered, his voice instantly smoothing out into the cold, authoritative tone the world expected of him. "The gala started 20 minutes ago, Julian," Marcus said, his tone professional but laced with an undercurrent of familiarity. "The investors are asking for you. The mayor is already on his second glass of champagne. You need to be down here." Julian looked down at the shattered glass on the floor, then at his reflection in the dark window. The phantom image of the woman with the fiery eyes seemed to linger in the glass. "I'm on my way," Julian said. He hung up, grabbed a fresh shirt, and slipped on his tuxedo jacket. As he adjusted his cuffs, a strange, electric anticipation settled beneath his skin. The gala tonight was a high society charity event hosted in the grand ballroom of his own luxury hotel downtown. The exact ballroom from his vision. For the first time in his life, Julian wasn't dreading the future. He was walking directly into it.